Welcome to the Family Law Growth Podcast. We interview the nation's fastest growing family law firms to get insights on what is working today. We leave no stone unturned, from intake to the biggest mistakes they've made while scaling to multi-7 figures and 8 figures. I'm your host, Elliot, co-founder of Empirical 360. Let's dive into the episode. Welcome to the Family Law Growth Podcast. So I'm your host, Elliot. I'm here with my co-founder,
Erik.
Brother Erik. Yep, you get it, right? And so we're calling this Fun with Founders. And if it's not fun, let us know and we'll rename it. But for now, it's going to be Fun with Founders. So I have something special here that we're going to talk you through. It is the Family Law Sales and Marketing Industry Benchmark Report. Tell me why benchmarks are so important.
I don't know. Benchmarks are really important because I don't think most law firms and even businesses know what to expect from their marketing efforts and from their sales efforts. So it allows them to know when they're succeeding and when they're failing. If they're failing, they should be fixing. And if they're succeeding, they should be scaling.
Well said. So let me give you a real world example of this.
And for Elliot, for other people who are listening on audio and can't see that cool thing you're holding in your hand, what are you holding and how can people get it?
Ooh, good point. So I'm holding a spiral book that is beautiful, that I did not design. And it is 12 whole pages of benchmarks and some best practices for family law specifically. And if you want a copy of it, you can find it at the link in this episode. You can go to our website and grab a copy of it, and I will ship you one free of charge.
And you'll get a digital version right away.
And there's some bonuses. I have an intake bonus script, and I have a sales agenda and sales closing questions for family law firms specifically. So better said on the benchmark thing, and this is something that I think about all the time now that we have a little bit of experience, is if you don't know what to expect, you are literally flying blind. There are parameters for a reason. So let me give you an example. Let's say that, and this is top of mind because I ate really bad last night. Let's say that I didn't know I need to eat 2,000 calories a day to maintain. And I'm busy eating 5,000 calories a day and I'm gaining weight and I don't know why. It's because I'm way out of my benchmark, way out of my KPI. And now that I have something to track against, I can course correct very quickly and then I can begin hopefully losing some weight. You got a better example than that?
That was a good one.
All right. So hopefully you get the idea. Benchmarks are really important. And the expectations are probably why marketing has failed for you, because you didn't know what to expect when you went in. And most law firms are ready to treat internet leads like referrals, where they come bang on your door to give you money.
As a quick frame before you go into these benchmarks, the goal of these benchmarks is generally, if you put $1 into marketing, is to get $10 out.
Yes.
And we were on a drive today and I asked you, Elliot, if you have a machine in front of you that you have limited access to, you may not have it for your whole life, that can give you $1 million a day, how much money do you pull out of it?
As much money as I possibly can.
Exactly. And that's the goal of this benchmark report, is to know when you're winning so that the second you're winning, you can pull as much money out of your marketing and sales machine as possible.
Because the bad news is your lead costs will always go up. Fun fact for you, 3 years ago, family law leads were like $30 a pop, $40 a pop.
And we're going to get that troll that says I'm getting $2 family law leads on this video.
I'll wait for them. And right now, family law leads are anywhere from 80 to 150, which is our first benchmark, our local service ads benchmark. So in the first page of this report, local service ads are a great way if you're a newer firm to not pay an agency, which is weird because we're an agency, to get ads coming or to get ads live and leads coming in the door. It takes 10 minutes to set up local service ads, and you will start getting calls from Google. And these leads are going to cost anywhere from
$80 to $150 depending on where you're located.
Yep. And there's a caveat in here. If you're located in Colorado, Arizona, and DC, and some other states, they could be a little more expensive. And when I say a little more, like maybe $200, $250, depending on where you're at. What does this translate to as far as cost per acquired client?
So if you can get 1 out of the 10 people calling you, so picture 10 people calling you saying, hey, Elliot, I'm looking for a divorce. If you can get one of those to close, typically you'll spend around $800 to $1,500 to acquire a client. And to most divorce law firms, that client is worth to them over 10 grand. So if you look in the middle there, if you pay about $100 to get a lead and that lead is worth $10,000 to the firm when it converts, you're paying $1,000 in ad spend to get $10,000 in revenue. That $1 in to get $10 out dynamic, $10 out dynamic.
Got it. But I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that that's not enough money for me.
I would ask why.
And then what would you do?
If that's not enough money? If that's not enough money, you need to either close higher, change your targeting, or find a different platform. or maybe even go out of business because you can't compete with the people next to you, because there is someone in your area that's willing to pay that, and you will lose to them on every auction.
So that is what people don't understand with Google is it is built to make it work for your business. It is on an auction system. So these lead costs are not arbitrary. They come about by other people in your area, your competitors, bidding on these same leads for this cost. And most states, most firms can make $1,000 cost of acquisition work. And in fact, that's actually a really good cost of acquisition. So
People often view cost of acquisition as a negative thing. Like, I have to pay every time I get a customer. But Russell Brunson and it was either Traffic Secrets,
Dan Kennedy too.
Dan Kennedy, they'd say that the person who can afford the highest cost per acquisition wins. And if you think about the person that could put their name on a billboard, on a bus bench, and still make money, they generally become the biggest law firm. Look at Morgan & Morgan.
Exactly. All right, so I hope you're enjoying this episode. So if you're struggling to grow your family law firm right now and you've tried marketing and you've tried sales and nothing seems to be clicking, it's more than likely that you have a benchmark problem. You actually don't know what winning looks like and what the KPIs are that you need to manage to. So that is why we put together this benchmark report. So this report goes over a bunch of stuff. It tells you what should PPC leads cost, what should LSA leads cost, what should those leads close at, what should you be doing for social media, how should you structure your sales process, who should do your intake, should you do paid consults or free consults. All of these questions that are potentially holding you back from growth are answered in this short guide. Now, as a bonus, when you get this guide mailed to you, I also give you an intake script that you can give to an internal person or a call center. I also give you the agenda of how non-attorney salespeople open their call, and I give you the closing questions that they use to close more deals. So go ahead, get this for free. All you gotta do is put in your information and I will mail you a physical copy. Let's get back to the episode. So anyway, if you can't make Google ads work, unfortunately, you are the problem, not Google. So you got to figure out a way to make it work. And like Erik said, you got to close higher. Or I recently talked to a firm and their case values were like $5,000. You're targeting the wrong people. You got to start going after business owners, people in better income ranges, better zip codes, people with more complex stuff, something like parents, right? You got to drive those case values up. Otherwise, you're going to just drown. You're not going to be able to survive the Google battle. Next page in our benchmark report is pay-per-click. Cost per lead is
between $100 and $150. So usually it's very close to local service ads.
So exactly, same exact concept here. The reason you need pay-per-click instead of LSA is because LSA can only scale so far and it's good to diversify your sources. What are some other benefits of pay-per-click versus LSA?
You have income targeting, you have gender targeting, you get to actually pick the exact terms that your ads will show up for. Not really the case with LSA. So you just have a lot more control over what's out there and then the overall targeting.
So there you have it. That's LSA, PPC. Those are really good starting places for firms, which is why I have those first in the book.
And usually if one works, both works. If LSA works for you, PPC will work, vice versa. And it's also true for SEO. The only reason that people think their SEO is better than their pay-per-click and their local service ads is they aren't paying a premium for every click. But you have to remember, you usually still are paying someone to generate the SEO business for you.
Yeah. And I'm going to add to that. Your referrals come in through your website, which may get tagged as quote unquote SEO. So this is a way for vendors to hide behind if they're actually driving any business for you. If somebody Googles your name and your website comes up and they go to your site, was that a referral or was that organic? It's definitely a referral, right? Because I told somebody to go search your name. And so that is a very, very common misconception in this industry. And unfortunately, agencies hide behind it constantly, which drives me nuts. So the next thing on this page is social media. So it tells you all the stuff you need to know, how to go about it. What is the cost per lead for most social media campaigns?
Between $10 and $30. And this, you'll actually see a little bit wider of a range. Some people we have, I don't know, like say it, $5 leads, and some people we have $70 leads. Social media, compared to the other platforms, is very creative dependent. So if you have really good videos, lots of variations, your lead cost can be lower. If people don't like your videos, then it might be a little bit higher.
Yep. In which case, let's just say that you're one of those people, potentially this video that we're shooting now, and people don't like it. You can use graphics, and graphics can attain pretty good lead costs right in that $10 to $30 range. What is the cost per acquired client in social media?
This also varies more than the other platforms. So roughly between $300 and $700 if your targeting's right, because we're still targeting the people from search, so we still want them to close at 10%. We do see larger variances in cost of acquisition on social media when comparing it to local service ads and Google ads, but we still Usually it's cheaper, and we still want it to be below that $1,000-ish range.
And another thing about social media that you need to take into account is you're going to get more forms on social media, and forms have a connection rate component. So you actually have to call them versus an inbound call from your LSA or your PPC ads. So next part of the booklet talks about sales. So we talk about the different phases of a sale. So what are the different phases that a lead will go through until it becomes a client?
So typically you'll have a lead enter your system. Then it will go to intake, the person answering the actual phone call. Usually from intake, they'll make a decision if the lead is marketing qualified. So in an area we serve and something that we do. And then they'll sometimes go into sales qualifiers like financially can pay for our services, good attitude, not really a fan of those. And then they'll usually become either a consultation with an attorney or a case evaluation with a non-attorney. And then usually from the consultation or case evaluation phase, they'll usually pitch them and close them as a client.
So those are your basic stages. Most family law firms follow these exact stages. And then in this booklet, we'll talk a little bit more about how that should look. Now, when you're doing intake, basic broad stroke metrics, what should you book leads at on your calendar?
I'm going to throw out a huge disclaimer here before making, because we're talking KPIs here. Most people know their lead cost KPIs pretty well because the platforms report them to you. But I would really, really question your intake and sales KPI. So before you listen to this part of this podcast, I would assume your data is incorrect. And hopefully it is correct, and you go find out and it's correct. But I wouldn't make an assumption because all the time we hear my book rate's 100%, my show rate's like 90, and I close like 50%. And my next question is like, show me your 10 Lamborghinis. Like if you can close that high, you should be the biggest law firm in your area and there should be no competition. And your cost of acquisition should be like $200. Not the case, so your numbers are probably wrong. So I would really, really look into these numbers before we give them, and I would not assume that you're beating these KPIs because I've seen very few law firms before they work with us beat these KPIs. And if I do see them, they're usually a multi-8-figure law firm.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reason for this is just to elaborate a little more on what Erik is talking about is most leads don't go into your system automatically. Somebody manually inputs them. And what happens is either they're not there all the time, who works 24/7, and they don't always put the leads in if they're not qualified because it's a waste of time and they're doing a million other things. And so what happens is very large data discrepancies, almost to the point where a firm could be missing half or even more than half of their leads per month. What is a target book rate for free case evaluations or consults and then paid consults?
For free consults or free case evaluations, we're looking for a 70% book rate. For paid consultations, we're looking for a 30% book rate.
There you have it. Those are the top of the funnel metrics. If you want to know more details about why those happen, you got to get the benchmark report. That's free, so get it. There are a couple ways to do intake. Internal staff and answering services. What do you prefer?
Internal staff.
Why?
Because they're better on the phone.
Why else?
They're also very consistent.
And I'll add to that, you can coach them. So even if they're terrible on the phones, at least you can give them feedback. With an answering service, you have no way to get the same person over and over again. Now, answering services are useful because they can take care of overflow or after hours answering services are there. And so they're still very helpful. They're kind of a necessary evil. There's some best practices in the guide on how to use answering services. Now, what should these appointments show up at? Because I hate it when I get no-showed. Why?
For free sessions, most of the time we need a 70% show rate. And for paid consultations, we're looking for close to 100 because they're paying. And usually the ones that do no-show will rebook, so it's not even a problem.
So how can I get some of my people to show up higher? Let's say they're not showing up at 70 to 80%.
Easiest problem to fix. Either you need to look at how far you're booking them out. So if you're not doing same day and next day case evaluations or consultations, they're not going to show. And then are you giving very clear instructions for them to show up there? Are you texting them and emailing them instructions on how to show up to the meeting and to remind them about the meeting? Usually if people are doing those two things, they don't have a show rate problem.
Yeah, this is the most rare problem, but I do talk about some best practices and tools to use when it comes to improving your show rates. Now, the next one, this is a tough one. Close rate. What should close rates be for free case evaluations? And then what should they be for paid consults?
For free case evaluations, we're looking for 2 out of 10 to close. So a 20% close rate. For paid consultations, we're looking for 3 out of 10. Or really it's 1 out of 3. It's a 33% close rate gets us to KPI. And the KPI I'm talking about is ideally from those stages that we talked about in the beginning, 1 out of 10 leads close. And those are the ratios to get us there. And so for a salesperson, the 20% close rate's a really important number for them to know, because they can lose 4 pitches in a row, be really discouraged. If the next one closes, they're within KPI.
Yeah. And so again, you can close much higher than that. Some people do. It's pretty rare, but 20% is the bare minimum we need to be really profitable. And then there's the final debate on how should you do your sales, attorney versus non-attorney salesperson. What do you see works the best?
Non-attorney.
How is it that a non-attorney can have a legal consultation?
They'll focus on the end user.
So the big secret here, and the first time I saw this, I thought it was crazy too. Non-attorneys don't give legal advice, so don't worry about that. What they do, though, is they simply make the determination, are you a good fit for our firm, and do you want to work with us and actually go through with your family law matter? And it's a structured conversation. If you're interested in it, I have other resources that I could provide. Reach out. We can give you some of these on how non-attorneys can sell. And believe it or not, they can actually close higher than most attorneys. Usually the founding attorney closes the highest, but non-attorneys can still compete. So if you have questions about this benchmark guide, or if you want a copy of it, go ahead, click the link below. There'll be somewhere around this episode. You can get your copy mailed to you, and there's some bonuses on the physical copy. It's completely free. Go ahead and get it, and we'll see you on the next episode.